How much money do you need to be happy? Coming from someone who had 100K cash liquid net worth by the time I was 21, I feel like I could kind of talk about this, especially for younger people. I used to be married to a certain amount of money that I wanted to have to be happy, and I told myself I wouldn't be happy until I got there. So in this video, I plan to show you understanding the relationship between money and happiness, quality of life and emotional well-being related to happiness and money, and then financial strategies so that you can be happy with the amount of money that you do have. And I'll get into that later. With that being said, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Richardson. I'm a coach here at Life in New Terms, and I make these videos to help share my knowledge and share my expertise to hopefully help you guys learn these lessons quicker than I ever could. So understanding the relationship between money and happiness. No amount of money will make you happy. You will make you happy. I call this the happiness trap, the if-then. When I have $100,000, I will be happy. Or when I have $1 million, I will be happy. But I can tell you what happens is that when I hit my $100,000 when I was 21, I just moved it. I just moved the goalpost. Oh, I have 100, now it's time to get to 250. Oh, and I guarantee you when I get to 250, I'm gonna move to 500 or a million. I can guarantee you that. So I can't use money as my metric for happiness, and I don't want you to do it either. Because the way you become happy in life is actually to not think about happiness as the goal. You wanna think about making the most out of your life, the goal. So for me, if I was to use the happiness as my metric for life, I wouldn't get up out of bed. I would just sit in bed and eat food because that would be what would make me happy. But when I am making the most out of my life, I am in pursuit of my mission, I am exercising, I am taking advantage of the time that I have here, and by result, long term, I feel the most happy. So I don't want you to think of happiness and how much money you need to be happy. I want you to think about taking the most and taking advantage of the time you have here, and not only focusing on the emotion of happiness as well. I want you to feel stressed. I want you to feel sad. I want you to feel mad, because those are all very healthy emotions as well. And it makes joy feel that much better. And so there is no amount of money that will make you happy. And I'm just gonna break that down now. In the rest of the video, I'm gonna talk about how money relates to happiness, but there is no metric in this video where I'll say this amount of money is what you need happy. Other than the fact that yes, you need basic needs to survive, food, shelter, all those things. When those things are taken care of though, there's no amount of money that necessarily really boosts your happiness. So once you're at, whatever it is to take you to have shelter, food, and be able to eat some meals out to eat with relationships, to build relationships and take advantage of them, there's no amount of money that's going to increase the happiness beyond that. So once your basic needs are met and you can reduce that stress, you're not going to see a big increase. And there was actually a study done by Princeton University on the income happiness threshold. So as people made more income, what did their happiness look like? And up to $75,000, there was an increase in happiness. And I would still kind of define that and how expensive everything is in society today as being able to have food, shelter, and maybe a few extra things in your life. But outside of that, past $75,000, there was completely diminishing returns on happiness. So what is the factor then that determines the happiness between people making more than that? Well, I think one way you can look at it is, as a person, what impact do you want to make in this world? Because the way I see money is that money is a direct translation of the value that you provide to the market and society. So if someone makes $100 million of their lifetime, they provided $100 million of value, however that looks, in the marketplace or in society. So when you're looking at what impact you want to make, money can be a good measurement of how much impact you've made. So make sure that you set your goals big, set them huge, because then the money will just follow that. And I promise you, if you're pursuing your goals and you're making that impact, the money will be more of a side thought. It'll be a cool little addition, but you changing the world and you providing that value is the better litmus test, is the better metric to look at how happy or how fulfilled you are, or if you're making the most out of life. So quality of life and emotional well-being. Money does provide a better quality of life and probably a better emotional well-being, especially once your needs are met, then your emotional well-being is going to go up because you're less stressed, you're not as anxious, you're not about making ends meet every month. So once you get to that point, you probably want to start prioritizing experiences over materials. And that's what I've seen in my life. When I look at anything in my life that I have, my material goods, they bring me joy in a short-term sense, but in a long-term sense, it's the experiences that I look back on. It's the vacations that I built great memories on that I'll never forget. It's not the cars, it's not the watches, it's not any of that stuff. I mean, that stuff's cool, but it doesn't provide the at least quality of life that I envision and that I enjoy and that makes me feel joyful. So I would strongly encourage you to value experiences over material goods, and that can lead to more happiness for you. On top of that, financial stability does actually lead to more choices, and that can be very helpful in emotional well-being. So with a relationship, your purpose, fulfilling responsibilities and activities is that you will able to do those things and enjoy those things when you have enough financial stability. You'll be able to build meaningful relationships when you don't have to live paycheck to paycheck. You're able to fulfill your purpose and take more risk on that, whether it's starting a business and being able to fulfill it on a bigger scale. You have to have some degree of financial stability to be able to do that. You're able to go do the things you enjoy, your hobbies, and those can bring more joy as well when you have that. So all those factors do play into money and having money and relating to happiness because it allows you to do those things. But those are the things that I really think are going to move the needle in terms of your joy and your happiness, not the money itself. It's the freedom that money gives you that's going to help you feel that way. Now, on top of that, when you have enough money, being able to give and give generously can be really helpful also for your happiness as well. I know when I reach a certain amount of net worth, I do want to give a huge chunk of it back to disabled people because they've been born at a disadvantage, and I feel like I was dealt two aces in terms of my health, in terms of my intelligence, all of those things. And so I want to be able to try to give that same opportunity to the people that were born disabled, or at least help them out in any way I can. So giving and giving generously can be very helpful as well to your joy, and you're using money as a tool in that regard. So the third and the final piece is going to be strategies for financial well-being. So if you can have a lot of money. You know, there's people that make $100,000 a month, but they spend $90,000 of that every month. And I'm sure they're a lot more stressed than someone making $100,000 a year, but only spending $30,000 of that because their lifestyle is so high. So what I would encourage you to do is actually build a nest egg. And that's what I have done. I've built a nest egg where I could probably fail for the next 2 years and make no money, and I would still be okay. Yes, at the end of those 2 years, I would have $0 left, but I have enough money saved up where I can take risk. I can start to gamble a little bit on my purpose and making this business and company work. And so building up a nest egg can be a really good emotional way for you not to worry. You don't have to stress or be anxious about the money you have. You kind of have a little bit of wiggle room to make risks and stuff like that. And on top of your nest egg, another way you can think about financial stability is want versus need to buy. So is this something you just want, or is this something you need? And I operated on this principle, and I still operate on this principle for a large portion of my life. And that's where I think I've been able to amass this amount of money at a young age, because I'm not just out there spending it willy-nilly on whatever. I really consider, do I need this thing or do I want this thing? And then maybe I delay it if I want to it. And make sure you do spend some of your money though, because just sitting on it all the time, that's no fun either. So there are seasons in my life where I spend a little bit more, especially on vacations. You know, I go snowboarding every year in Colorado, and I spend a little bit more money there and do other things as well on other vacations. So spend some of your money as well, and that can help you be joyful also. Now, on top of that, one final thing is that with money, what do you want your work-life balance to look like? Because you could say to yourself, yeah, I want to make $1 million a year, but that might involve working 80 hours a week. And do you really want that? And I promise you, money won't matter if you have no time to enjoy it. That's what I think is one of the most beautiful things about money, is money becomes amazing when you can figure out who you want to share it with. When you have a clearly defined picture of, you know what, I have this money, but I get to share it with my family. I get to donate it and donate it generously, and I get to make an impact on all those people's lives, then money becomes a very powerful tool on your joy. Once you've defined how you can share it, because if you only have it for yourself, I mean, yeah, you can get materials, you can get some experiences, but eventually that's gonna get dry. It's not gonna be fun anymore. And so being able to share your money is a superpower. And so what do you want your work-life balance to look like so that you can either work 20 hours a week and spend a lot of your time with your relationships, maybe you don't have as much money, but who cares? Or you work 80 hours, you're okay with that, and eventually with the promise that you will not work as much so that you can share more of that money. So that money, it's just a tool. That's how I want you to look at it. It's a tool. It's not gonna be a thing that if I gave you $1 million right now, I wired it to you, you're not gonna be any more happy in a year than you would have been today, unless you're really struggling, obviously. If you're not really struggling, if you're in a good place, I wire you $1 million. A year from now, I guarantee you, you wouldn't feel that much different with happiness because we continue to move the goalposts. So you want to use other things in your life to drive your joy and drive your happiness, and especially think of your life as what can you do to make the most out of it. So that's how much money do you need to be happy? With that, if you like that video, please comment in the description because then I can make more of these. And if you like and subscribe, it's just an extra thing that really helps the channel.